everyone. Robert Ferringo of Doc Sports Services here with my main man, Raphael Esparza, one of the top college basketball handicappers in the country, bringing you your college hoops handicapping extravaganza. It's Wednesday, March 9th. And Raphael, I had to interrupt my enjoyment of watching the Syracuse Orange beat the piss out of Florida State to record this video. So you know it's March, and you know we're into the serious part of March when the games start at noon and they run till midnight and they all have meaning. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big game. I mean, the game got bet up. Florida State opened up at 1. I saw 2.5, and then it got bet down a little bit. But man, what a beatdown. I think last time I checked, it was like 70-34 or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, to go, I switched it over and I started watching St. Joe's and LaSalle and stuff like that. But, yeah, what a beatdown, Florida State. They're probably just happy baseball seasons here on campus.
The Syracuse team, you know I'm a Syracuse grad, so I follow them closely. They're a trash fire. I don't like this team. I can't wait for to not have to watch these guys play together anymore. But at the same time, it's Syracuse in March in the tournament time. They're a team to jump on. This is always when they get hot and do their best work of the season.
I don't know what I'm more shocked that Syracuse is winning that big today, or that you graduate from college. That's a toss up. I don't know which one's more shocking.
All right, people, down below in the description, there is a link that you can take advantage of $60 free. You are welcome. Apply this to your Doc Sports Services account and use it to buy picks for any handicapper in any sport and any package that you want. So, all right, Raphael, we got to get this done, and we got to get this done quick because we got to get back to watching the games, and we got a 4:30 tip-off that we're going to be talking about. Big game, actually. Xavier and Butler in the Big East tournament. Butler's 7-3 against the spread in their last 10 games, right? They play everyone tough. They do not get blown out of games. Their record isn't very good. This Butler team can be a tough nut to crack. They are coming off a rare blowout loss. So should they be in kind of bounce back mode here? And on the other hand, we have Xavier, who needs this win. They're fighting for an NCAA tournament bid. They absolutely need this win. So all the pressure's on them, right? Should we be fading Xavier and looking at taking the points, which are right now about 6.5?
Yeah, I would take the points this one. I want nothing to do it. I know Xavier's on that bubble looking in, but they're way back, I think, in that bubble where they maybe can't even see through that bubble. They've just been playing some horrible. I know they beat Georgetown their last game, but me and you can find 3 friends to beat up Patrick Ewing and probably get a W against the Hoyas. But Butler, you said they got blown up on Nova, but they still almost covered that game late. I mean, that score's lopsided. Late free throw, some junky 3-pointers. They've covered 3 of their last 4 games. Give me the plus points on this one. Butler, they're been in these situations before. They handle it well. I want nothing to do with the X-Men. They've just been horrible to come down the season. NIT bound for the X-Men.
Okay, something we've talked about so far this week, Xavier has beaten Butler in both of their matchups, right? On Monday, we had 4 teams that were in that same spot, facing a team for a third time. They went 1-3 against the spread. Yesterday, we had Wilmington, Northern Kentucky, and South Dakota State. Guess what? Those teams went 0-3 against the spread. That third crack at a team of equal caliber talent in the tournament, so far it's been a profitable angle to bet against the team that won both regular season matchups. The last time that Xavier and Butler played, Xavier won, but they only won by 2 points. I'm with you. I will take the points in this game or stay away because I think Butler can keep it competitive. All right, another team in that must-win zone right now is Oregon, facing their in-state rivals, Oregon State. A lot of fascinating storylines going on in this game, okay? From the Oregon side, they have been a train wreck over the last few weeks. They only needed a couple of wins really to punch their ticket to the NCAA tournament. Instead, they've lost 3 straight. They've lost 6 of 8. They've lost to bad teams like Cal. They got blown out at Washington, blown out at Washington State. So they are definitely have negative momentum coming into this. Oregon State, in-state rival, who has actually beaten Oregon in one of these games, they were in the Elite 8 last year. Was that like a fever dream, Raphael? That actually happened, that they were in the Elite 8 last year, right? They've been one of the worst teams in college basketball this year, one of the worst bets in college basketball. Feel like this is their national championship game, right? If they could beat their in-state rivals, salvage a little bit of pride, take the season series, keep Oregon out of the NCAA tournament, Oregon State should be given everything they have here, right?
I agree. And this one was 10 when it opened up. And I'm like, ooh, if this is 10 when I wake up, I'm definitely either releasing it or jumping on it or stuff like that. I do have a play on this game. But yeah, I agree. The Beavers has to be a play here. You said it. Oregon just needed maybe a couple W's after that win against UCLA. I mean, they hung tough against Arizona before they won that game against UCLA. And then they tanked it, USC. I think that USC lost by 1 point. I just think just chopped the legs off. And you said they're a must win. I think they need to be in the Pac-12 championship game just to be considered in that bubble form. I don't see them going in, and I think the players probably see that. This is Beaver time for March Madness. They know they ain't going anywhere. They're not going to another tournament after this one. This is their March Madness tournament. How would it be good to knock off your big brother on national TV today? I like the Beavers on this spot. I wish it was still 10, but I still think getting value at 9.5. I say hurry up because I would not be shocked if we see 8.5 closer to tip off.
Yeah, I agree. Last night when this opened, I saw some like 11, some 10.5s. Like this was a big number when it hit the board yesterday. I didn't think that would hold at all, and I'm with you. I would have been all over it. Something to consider with the Xavier team and this Oregon team. This is something I talk about a lot across all sports. You do not want to be betting on teams in must-win situations. Good teams do not put themselves in these types of must-win situations. Shady, shaky, underachieving, break your heart and your bankroll teams put themselves in these situations. I would not be surprised if either Oregon or Xavier, if one of them lost outright in this game. All right, we're going back to the Big East. 7 o'clock game. We have DePaul at St. John's. Now, again, this one isn't going to move the meter nationally. All right, neither one of these teams are big fan favorites. But I think that this is an interesting game because this St. John's team, they're basically playing a home game, playing in Madison Square Garden. This is a team that I feel has underachieved this season. They've had some injury issues, some COVID issues. This is a team that I think is capable of playing with and beating anyone in the Big East right now. They're facing a DePaul team that's been kind of scrappy, kind of competitive this year. They've lost a lot of games, but they've lost a lot of games close as opposed to in recent years where they've been getting blown out. What do you think here, Raphael? Does St. John's have enough to make a run, maybe win and cover this game? Or is DePaul kind of a sneaky underdog play here, getting those 5 points?
I like St. John's to win this, a.k.a. home game at the Garden today. But if this one moves to 5.5, I'm looking at the Blue Demons because you said they're scrappy. They've covered 5 straight games coming into this one, even though they lost 4 out of they won 4 out of their last 5. But they're a scrappy team. If they can hit the 3 ball, they like to play a half-court press defense. If they can get that going, that could bother St. John's. I think St. John's pulls out maybe a 3-4 point victory. But my number was pretty much dead on in this one, 4 or 5. But again, if this one moves 5.5, I might have to take a shot at the Blue Demons on this one. I think they can backdoor cover.
I was hoping to get St. John's around 3.5, maybe 4. I thought this came out a little higher than I was expecting. Interestingly enough, in the 2 games that these 2 teams played this year, they split, each winning on their home court by exactly 5 points. So maybe that's what the odds makers were looking at when they were looking at this one. Okay, let's go to a championship game. Now, somebody's getting their ticket punched tonight. We have Navy against Colgate. Very, very good Colgate team. It opened at 6. Now they're laying 6.5 points tonight at 7:30. Patriot League Championship. Colgate only lost once in league play, but Navy is a 21-win team. They play a very, very slow, deliberate half-court style. They run that old Princeton offense that they try and work in. So they keep games close and low scoring. So 6.5 could be a tough number to cover in what'll probably be a game played in the 50s, low 60s, something like that. However, Colgate has a major advantage in this game, and that's that they're playing on their home court. We saw it last night with Bryant and Wagner, where Bryant just annihilated probably a more talented Wagner team. Raphael, how big of a factor is that home court advantage in these smaller conference tournaments? And is 6.5 points too many to lay to a team that plays a slow grinding style?
Yeah, there's one thing I love watching Navy, but even David Robertson doesn't tell people he went to Navy watching Navy play this year because their slow pace offense is just brutal to watch. It's almost like you're watching a UVA practice. It's not fun to watch, but I think Colgate can cover this number by free throws at the end of the game. I think Colgate on their home court probably control the tempo. If they can maybe score like in the 80s, like they did in Lehigh and Bucknell, where I think we're 81 against Bucknell, and I know they hit the 90s. Oh no, hit the 90s of Bucknell in their last game in Lehigh. I think it was 80 points. If they can do something like that, then they win this game comfortable, but would not shock me if we're biting nails and fingers and stuff like that, where we're looking for free throws to try to cover this one. I'm going to say Colgate wins by late free throws, but make sure you get the best number. There's 7s out there. It is starting to creep down to 6.5. We could see 6 on this one, just the way Navy's been playing at they're a slow pace. Wait for this number. If you can get 6, I say jump on Colgate.
The underdog is 6-2 against the spread in the last 8 meetings, but Colgate has absolutely dominated Navy. They've won 9 of the last 10 meetings. You mentioned this Colgate team is capable of putting up big numbers. I think they cracked the century mark against my Orange earlier in the season, a big comeback win in the Dome. I think they're the best team in this conference, so I'm going to back them to win on their home court here. I'm with you. I would lay the points, not as a big play, but I would not be surprised if they pull out a double-digit win. And you brought up the next team that we're going to talk about, Virginia, somehow in the top 25, which just boggles my mind. Some of the teams have been stuffing in at the back end of the top 25 these last few weeks. Just kind of a joke. All right, they're facing Louisville. Louisville demolished Georgia Tech last night, although that game did get close. They almost blew a 27-point lead. Georgia Tech cut it to 6 with about 2 minutes and 15 seconds left. With Louisville, does that have kind of a negative carryover for them, or do they have the benefit of already getting that first win under their belt, that first tournament experience with them? They also just played Virginia last Saturday and lost by 10 points at home, so they have a little bit of a revenge factor, against this Virginia team that probably, same thing, still needs wins. They need to rack up a few W's in this tournament if they want to go to the NCAA tournament. So what are you seeing when you look at this matchup?
I'm throwing out yesterday's game out the window. I thought Georgia Tech could easily won that game. It was my free play yesterday. Tanked. It was a bad play on that one. But I think Louisville falters. I'm not sold on that. UVA, we just said they played each other last Saturday and won by double digits. If UVA can play that place type of game, even though that game went over last Saturday, I think this needs to stay in the low 60s for them to win. I like UVA on this one. I think the number's dead on, so there's not that much betting value, but I think UVA advances. They need W's. Again, I don't know how in the heck they're in the top 25. I can think of at least 6 teams that are better than them to go bump them up in the top 25, including some Mountain West teams. But yeah, I think UVA wins this one. It's going to be a close one. I think the number's dead on. There's no value, but if this one comes down, I think UVA has to be the play.
Yeah, Virginia's 4-0 against the spread in the last 4 meetings with Louisville. They're 9, just like with the Colgate. They have dominated the series. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games against Louisville, and they have faced much better Louisville teams than the one they're facing here. I agree with you. Virginia, kind of like Syracuse, they're one of those teams that get better as the season goes on, and March seems to be their month. Raphael, I have to ask you, are you looking to personally play any tournament winners, any futures plays this week on conference tournament winners? Do you see any value in those?
There's one in the Pac-12. People will read it later. I like Arizona. I just think they're the better team in the Pac-12. I think some of these teams get beat up. Like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if the Beavers beat Oregon today. And there's a spot that maybe it could bother Arizona. I wouldn't be shocked if UCLA and USC maybe have a little bit of a struggle during the tournament. I just think Arizona, to me, I think are one of the hotter teams that wouldn't shock me if they cut down the nets. And now you only lay anywhere between -130, -135. I think that's really, really good value. And I like Wisconsin Badgers to win the Big Ten. I mean, there's teams are going to get Purdue money and Illinois money. And I'm not just saying that because the boss is probably watching this. He's going to cut me maybe a bonus check just because I said that. But I've been high on them towards the end of the season, even though it was a bad loss against Nebraska. But anything is possible. We saw Georgetown cut down the nets last year.
Wisconsin has peaked, my friends. They peaked a little too early. I'm against you on this one. I don't like them in the Big Ten tournament. I don't like them in the NCAA tournament. Raphael, how'd your free play do yesterday on this video? I don't specifically remember.
I told everyone that Gonzaga and St. Mary's were both going to hit the century mark, and that game was going to fly over. It still went over. None of them hit the century mark, but since I had Gonzaga,
it went over. I also won my free play on Bellarmine, even though I do have to offer a correction. I said that if they won that game, they would go to the NCAA tournament. It'd be a great story. I did not realize that they were ineligible. And now Jacksonville State, the regular season winner, takes Bellarmine's bid, basically because Bellarmine was not eligible to go to the big dance. So I apologize for that. But it was still a free play winner. So we're 4-0 with our free plays so far on championship week. I'll leave it to you to keep the streak going.
I'm going to go to one of the games we talked about. I have no idea why the Oregon State-Oregon number fell 2 points. Opened up at 144, now it's at 142. The Beavers' defense has been horrible all season long. They gave up 103 points to Washington State. They gave up 78 points to Washington. This is their March Madness. I think if they're going to want to win this game, they need to put points on the board. A little bit shocked when the number keeps on dropping. I like this game to go over the total, so give me Oregon State over 142, even though the public has been betting the under all day long.
All right, I'm going to go into the SEC tournament, and I'm going to take Georgia, take UGA +9. I don't think there's any 9.5s out there yet, but I think there will be because the majority of the betting action is coming in on Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt shouldn't be this big of a favorite, frankly. They're a good team. I have no beef with Vanderbilt in general, but the last time that they beat a team by 10 points or more was Hawaii back on December 22nd. So they haven't beat anybody by double digits since Christmas. Georgia is in kind of a really weird situation here. They've already announced, or it has been leaked, that they are firing Tom Crean at the end of the season. They're going to let him coach through the SEC tournament for reasons that kind of defy logic. So we're going to see. We're going to see what Georgia does about this game. Either they hate Tom Crean, everybody's looking for the exits, and they don't care, and they're just going to mail it in and lose by 20 today. Or we might see them kind of rally, that kind of win one for the Gipper, try and send them out with at least one more victory and play hard. Georgia's been a weird team. They've had some oddly competitive games, only losing to Auburn by 2 when Auburn was number 1 in the country. They only lost by 6 or 7 to Tennessee recently. So I think that they can hang within 9 points of Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt will win in advance. Crean will be fired, but I think Georgia takes the cash in that one. So, all right, Raphael, anything else to get people primed for Wednesday's games?
Should be interesting. And don't forget there's Champions League soccer today, too. I know you'll be watching some college hoops, but there's some 2 games in Champions League soccer at the same time. Give some soccer some love.
Just because you've been hot in Champions League soccer, I know that's where your focus is because that's where you've been cashing big money tickets. But let's keep it with the college hoops betting extravaganza. We will be back tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to have even more games, even more actions. Expect jam-packed segments on Thursday and Friday as we have all the conference tournaments starting. There's going to be a lot of big games, a lot of big action. He's Raphael Esparza. I'm Robert Ferringo. Check back tomorrow. In the meantime, Carpe Diem. Good luck.